Well, folks, Harry and Meghan are one of the colossal crash and burns in public relations history. What's really funny right now is watching as Prince Harry and Meghan Markle just flame out. It's really, really entertaining. So they've been basically booted from Spotify because it turns out that they were a hoax and they had nothing to provide to the audience whatsoever other than sort of woke grievance mongering. Meanwhile, speaking of people who claim the mantle of false victimhood, Harry and Meghan have a new documentary out on Netflix, and this one just looks absolutely awful. I've been forced by my team, by the way, to watch all of Gutsy. So I've been watching an awful lot of trash reality TV from pseudo-politicians lately. And man, I have to say, Gutsy was basically like taking a red-hot poker and shoving it directly into your prefrontal cortex. Folks, as we all know, the most victimized human in all of America is a princess named Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle, she is the most victimized person who's ever been victimized, according to a victim named Meghan Markle, who's a princess. Well, now people are speaking out about how useless they were. The Wall Street Journal has a long piece titled, "Harry and Meghan Produce a Hollywood Flop Themselves." Prince Harry and Meghan Markle had been out of the UK for nearly 2 years when they began work on a project they believed could transform them from former royals to Hollywood power players. The subject of endless rumors and gossip, the couple felt qualified to tackle the thorny topic of misinformation. It was both physically and psychically painful, just horrifying. Well, another show that it's a story that must be told is of a prince and an actress who is a second-rate actress on a second-rate USA Network show. I think the most self-aggrandizing, faux humble profile I've ever seen by a major public figure. It really is an impressive show from Meghan Markle. So just to get this straight, she was a failed actress on Suits who married into the royal family and then bitched and moaned about it, who became a princess, whining about how tough their life is and how everybody is racist and how no one will give them their privacy. And the only way that they can get their privacy is by doing a massively distributed documentary on Netflix about what victims they are.
In the glittering world of celebrity, where image is everything and perception is currency, few stories have soared so high and crashed so dramatically as that of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. They were once the world's golden couple, a British prince and an American actress whose whirlwind romance was celebrated as a modern fairy tale. But as the curtains were pulled back, the picture-perfect narrative began to unravel. From walking down the aisle in Windsor Castle to walking away from royal duties, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex were determined to write their own story.
Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. Meghan Markle claimed she'd never heard of Prince Harry when she started dating him. Here is a little bit of the preview for Harry and Meghan's new Netflix documentary. It just looks interminably awful.
It's really hard to look back on it now and go, what on earth happened?
But did they ever imagine it would read more like a cautionary tale than a happily ever after? It all began with a promise. A promise of a new chapter away from the confines of the British royal family. A fresh start in sunny California, where they could shine not just as royalty, but as Hollywood power players. With multi-million-dollar deals from streaming giants like Netflix and Spotify, it seemed like a match made in media heaven. Harry and Meghan had traded royal titles for star power, and the world watched in fascination as they embarked on their quest to conquer the entertainment industry. But Hollywood is a jungle, and star power alone doesn't guarantee survival. The couple quickly discovered that crafting compelling content requires more than just a famous last name.
Prince Harry and Meghan's Hollywood foray is looking like a flop. They arrived in SoCal 3 years ago with Duke and Duchess titles and plans to capitalize on a cash-rich streaming business desperate for star power to lure subscribers. They got a $100 million deal at Netflix. They got a $20 million deal at Spotify. They have led to more cancellations and rejections than actual produced shows.
Critics didn't just whisper, they roared. Their projects were branded as preachy and self-indulgent, more about pushing buzzwords than telling engaging stories. Meghan's highly publicized podcast was supposed to be a safe space for intimate, revealing conversations. Yet, for many listeners, it felt like a carefully orchestrated performance. Skeptics pointed out Meghan's apparent ability to cry on command, an old talent she once joked about during her acting days on Suits. Her tears at Queen Elizabeth's funeral were dissected like a scene from a movie, as rumors swirled about. Her ability to switch on the waterworks for the camera. Was it raw emotion or a rehearsed display?
So house can still be home base.
You're making them cry. Oh, I can do that so well. Oh my God, it's crazy. They're like, Meghan, 1 tear, left eye, go. Give me 3 seconds.
And you've created it for what?
because you're bored or because it sells your papers or it makes you feel better about your own life. It's real what you're doing. And that's the piece I don't think people fully understand.
Social media lit up with debates, but one thing was clear: Meghan had become a polarizing figure. Meanwhile, Harry's memoir, Spare, achieved what their Hollywood dreams couldn't. It became a bestseller. But even this success came with a price. The book painted a picture of a young prince scarred by a troubled childhood and a fractured family. Yet, to some, it felt less like a heartfelt confession and more like a calculated attempt to cash in on royal drama. Critics slammed the couple for weaponizing their personal stories while claiming to crave privacy. The irony was impossible to ignore. They had stepped away from royal duties, citing an unbearable media frenzy, only to repackage their personal struggles for a global audience. And then came the Spotify fallout. The streaming giant, which had once courted the couple with a reported $20 million deal, decided they simply weren't worth it.
How made up is this? How made up is this? This is so made up, this particular documentary. There's a shot. It shows like how there's a war against Meghan. It's a war against Meghan and Harry. Okay, there was no war against Meghan and Harry until she turned out to be a harpy.
Their much-hyped podcast series was abruptly canceled, with insiders describing Harry and Meghan as lacking substance and direction. The Wall Street Journal didn't hold back, describing the couple's foray into Hollywood as a colossal failure. What was supposed to be a groundbreaking misinformation documentary fizzled out before it even began. Insiders claimed that Harry and Meghan were vague, unprepared, and simply unable to answer basic questions about their own project. Would it be a film or a series? Who would host it? Would Meghan herself address her troubled history with the British tabloids? No one seemed to know, not even them. And their Netflix deal, once valued at a staggering $100 million, it too appeared to be in trouble. For a couple who promised to deliver impactful content, they had little to show for it. More cancellations, more whispers of creative differences, and fewer actual productions. The golden couple, who had once seemed untouchable, were now struggling to maintain their status in a world where success is measured not by titles, but by views, ratings, and subscriber numbers. Yet even as their Hollywood stars seemed to be fading, Harry and Meghan's story remained a source of endless fascination. To their critics, they were a perfect example of how fame without talent is a ticking time bomb. But to their loyal fans, they were victims of a relentless media machine, punished for daring to tell their truth. The couple's defenders argued that they were simply two people trying to navigate a world that never really accepted them. But was that the truth? Or was it just another carefully curated narrative? The more they tried to tell their side of the story, the more they seemed to become trapped in the very cycle they claimed to despise. Privacy was the rallying cry that launched their exodus from the royal family, yet exposure seemed to be their only currency in Hollywood. Meghan's tears, Harry's confessions, the endless interviews, all of it only fed the media beast they so desperately wanted to escape. So, what went wrong? Was it a case of overestimating their star power, failure to deliver on grand promises? Or did Harry and Meghan simply misunderstand the game they were playing? As the world continues to watch, one question lingers. Can the Sussexes stage a comeback? Will they reinvent themselves once more? Or will they become a cautionary tale of fame without focus? For now, they remain a spectacle, not just as individuals, but as a lesson in the high cost of public life. A fairy tale that turned into a drama and then into something far more familiar. A story of ambition, miscalculation, and a desperate search for relevance. But in Hollywood, every story has a twist. And perhaps, Harry and Meghan's tale is far from over.